So what do you think? Is this the direction to go? Sort of slicing the cake down into smaller and smaller pieces?
Well, we're all being asked to make the judgment of Solomon, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
There is not everybody can't have everything they want or they need, and the question is, how much do you need fertility treatment? It's not life-threatening. Is it everybody's God-given right to have children? And it all depends where you're coming from, what your answer will be to that. I mean, if you're an 85-year-old with cancer, you might prefer to have life-saving cancer treatment that will give you another 5-10 years of life, as opposed to somebody who's perfectly healthy, just doesn't have children. So they're very, very difficult decisions, but we have got to make savings.
But the notion on paper, at least, of putting forward someone who has gone through chemotherapy, who has both a lower chance of conceiving and a lower life expectancy,
well, this is all part of the balance. I think it's incredibly unfair to say, because you've already had chemotherapy, you've already cost us X amount of money, so you can't have anything else. I think that is a horrible way to put it. But one thing we've got to do is make the NHS more efficient. Is there anything wrong with charging everybody a certain amount to try and bring in a bit of money for IVF?
I mean, nuclear weapons, can we afford to splash out tens of billions of pounds on things
that brings
like
in another whole host of things. I mean, I'm just talking about within the NHS. Yes, of course, everybody has different priorities.
So I put it together. Should Richmond... would Richmond do better to axe IVF altogether than to go down this route of serving up such a tiny percentage of people locally?
Depends what your circumstances are. That they're having a vote, apparently. I mean, I don't believe in government by referendum the whole time, so I don't think they should have a vote in Richmond as to whether you...
Only on issues when it suits you?
No, only on major issues. You know, come on, that's not fair. At the moment, it's a postcode lottery.
Yeah.
It depends on where you live. You know, an awful lot of areas don't even implement the NICE guidelines, which is supposed to give you 3 goes. Some only give you 1.
Yeah. It's horrible,
It's a horrible decision. I mean, doctors have to make life-changing decisions all the time. I mean, you know, should a child with cystic fibrosis be treated ahead or behind of somebody who wants a baby? I wasn't aware, actually, till this programme, that some people say that infertility is a disease. I didn't know that.
the World Health Organisation.
I didn't realise it was classified as a disease.
What about you, Mark? I mean, as choices go, if we accept these cuts or some kind of cuts have to be made, would it be fairer to local people not to offer free IVF at all?
To me, it goes back one step, and I don't want to be part of normalising the fact that the NHS needs to be cut.
But then, as Christine said, you can't afford to give everybody everything they want.
I don't believe that. I think we can afford to be a compassionate society. I think there is enough money out there, placed in the right places, where we can do the right thing by everyone. And that's the fact that we have to cut is like they're taking billions off here. We're talking billions and trillions now. And 2 years ago we weren't talking those sort of. It was still millions. Now we're talking billions. Like, where is this money going? There's management within the NHS that possibly could go.
Well, we're going to talk about government waste in the newspaper review, which is totted up in the billions.
Yeah.
But
it's very difficult.
They've got to make a decision
Solomon's
now
decision.
in Richmond. I think by May they've got to make their decision. So if you were calling the shots, what would you do?
Yeah, well,
no one wants to answer, you see, because, Chris, I've been thinking about this since yesterday morning, and I still wouldn't want to say.
And you put it to the people,
hideous.
and everywhere we've seen it in America, we've seen it with Brexit, it's 50-50.
Yeah.
It's always 50-50. So what do you do with 50-50 decisions?
You end up with an almost equal number of unhappy people as you do happy people.
But predominantly angry society.
The NHS should prioritise the alleviation of suffering and the saving of life.
OK, I don't know if that's particularly helpful when you come to pitching people who've endured chemotherapy, whether they should get preference or the only people, along with those perhaps who've got HIV, the only people to be offered free IVF.
I mean, this is the problem, isn't it? I agree with Christine in regards to it's become a postcode lottery, and the NHS was never designed to be a postcode lottery. It's designed to be free at the point of need. And so I think this is what happens when the government makes all of these cuts to local services and also gives the decisions to local CCG groups and keeps reorganising groups where different people are making the decisions. This is what we end up with. And it's just, you cannot pitch one group against the other.
But if you were running Richmond CCG, you have to make a decision. You've got to do it in the next few weeks. What would you do?
And they will make a decision based on their demographics, based on...
And this poll.
And the poll, well, I don't really think the poll will come too much into it, to be honest. I think they've probably already decided this is what they're going to do. And I mean, some CCGs around have stopped doing the three cycles.
So the question is, do you carry on going down this route where you reduce the number of eligible patients more and more, and now we're down to just people who suffer chemotherapy and with HIV? Or do you just say, actually, what the fairest thing for all local people would be axe the lot?
This is an extremely dangerous route to go down because it's not a fair route. Because how are you judging people? What are you giving them? You get one because you've got HIV. You get two because you've had chemotherapy. You know, how do you then go? How do you equate that? It's not a fair system. So
but what would you do?
It's a difficult choice.
If you had to make a decision today for the future well-being of people in Richmond, what would you do?
I would calculate the money that's needed to provide the services that's needed for everything that they need to provide.
Well, they can't do it. They're 13 million short.
But they can do it because the government can do it. The government's the one who's made these unnecessary cuts. We forget that
you're the one that's got to make the decisions.
But we forget there was £3 billion worth of reorganisation that nobody else.
That doesn't matter.
That could have gone into providing these services.
If you're running Richmond CCG, all of that is irrelevant. You have to make these cuts. You've got to make a decision, and it's really. I'm only giving you the two choices.
But once they make these decisions, the government will get them to make another decision for another cut.
Right. So
and
you're
that's
not
the problem.
going to make a decision.
You're going down the route of making cuts because you think, well, we'll have to do this for now. And then they'll say, right, you've done that, now you have to do it. But before you know it, you haven't got an NHS.
Do feel free to comment and give us a thumbs up if you feel inclined. For more clips from the show and exclusive behind-the-scenes videos, click here. If you're new to the channel, click the subscribe button here to be automatically informed when new videos are available. Links to our other social media platforms can be found in the description. Thanks for watching.